This is Bruce Ramsey. The date today is October 19th, 1987. October 19th, 1987. I'm going to see this. What you're about to sit through, if you want to, is my video diary. Let me introduce myself. I am Bruce Ramsey. I live in Sacramento, California right now. I am currently attending the Davis University, and majoring in religious studies. I'm going to be 27 pretty soon, November 1st. So less than 2 weeks, and I'm studying constantly for my religious studies, and I'm a Christian. Well, of course, you know. Okay, this is continued from another tape, so I'll try to get to that right now. Maybe you'll find it interesting. I don't know. October 9th, 1987, Friday morning. I got a letter from Bernice Wasserman last Wednesday. She no longer lives in Van Nuys, but moved up to Oregon last July 29th. Anyway, she actually sounded sane. Thank God. Bernice Wasserman was this lady I took care of she's about 71 now, but when I knew her she was 67 going on 68. Back in 1983, I took care of her for about half a year. She has multiple sclerosis, and has it so bad that she's paralyzed, except for her left arm. And it was really tough taking care of her. But last time I talked to her, I mean, she sent a letter to me, and she sounded like she was somewhat happy, which is an answer to prayer if she is. Anyway, I seem to be enjoying my classes at Davis. My teacher seems to believe in universal salvation and also seems to be a Christian. I'm going to be doing 2 papers on the question of eternal hell. Wednesday, I had a class discussion. I think my teacher in that class is a liberal theologian who depressed the class by saying that some historians have proof that Christ didn't die. Christ never existed. But, believe it or not, I thought back with a question that got some of the Christians in the class a little happier by asking, if that is true, then Christianity could have never gotten started because the Jews, being that they were the first to start the cult, would have seen how the people who fabricated this Christian lie, being that it is so close to the Passover, and would have said, all this Christian stuff you are pulling on us is just to make our Passover feast make sense. And they would never have been able to get Christianity off the ground. what I think. Which is why I believe the Jews can't believe Jesus was the Son of God. That's why they can't believe him today, because they can see how Christianity came through the Passover feast and all that. I believe they can't, because they can see so many similarities with Christ and the Passover, the Jewish Passover. What else? I saw the prettiest girl on campus 2 days ago, which was about 2 weeks ago. A Mexican guy had his hands and lips all over her. I wonder why. Of course, I know why. Over and out. P.S. Another argument to make Christianity sound false is the idea that there was a Christ who had disciples and who died, and since people wanted there to be a Messiah so badly, they fabricated the whole idea. Yet, I can't see how everyone would have fallen for that, just to believe a lie. But there again, there is Mormonism. P.S. I have some great news to report. I became depressed today when I asked my teacher, Dr. Hurst, a question that seemed to cast doubt on the scriptures, and he gave me one that tore down my faith even more. That was until I checked it out. Anyway, the question I asked him, I believe I figured it out, but the question he gave me that made him agnostic a little was about Christ being dead before the Sabbath day and then rising Sunday morning. He said that makes Christ to have been dead for only a day and a half, not 3 days, which contradicts the Bible saying that Christ would be in the earth 3 days and 3 nights, like Jonah. Anyway, that really depressed me when he told me that, and so I did some investigating for myself, and sure enough, he was right, which made me want to call Melanie up for some weird reason. Melanie's my ex-girlfriend. But, thank God, I found the word preparation. When Joseph of Arimathea went to ask Pilate for Jesus' body, it was evening. The evening before the Sabbath. And since it was, then my teacher and I were wrong. Christ didn't die before Friday night. He died before Thursday. Right, Thursday night, because that was the evening the Jews were preparing for the Sabbath. And the Jews can't prepare during the Sabbath, because that's works. And the Sabbath occurs at sundown. Thank God, thank God, thank God. Once the evening comes for a Sabbath, all preparation must cease. That means Christ was dead Thursday night. Friday night, Saturday night, 3 days and 3 nights. October 10th, 1987, Saturday morning. Over and out, Bruce Ramsey. This is Bruce Ramsey. The date today now is November 5th. Let's see. Yeah, I think it is November 5th, 1987. It's now Friday. I think I'm going to need more light in here. More light indeed. kind of ghostish, kind of ghost-like. Oh well, I shall now read what I was going to read to you. October 10th, 1987, Saturday morning, almost a month ago. I investigated the problem further. Christ did die the day before Sabbath. He was in the ground for only 2 nights, which does contradict Christ saying 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. My dad said, if you can find one mistake in the Bible, then you might as well throw the whole thing out. And that's definitely one in my eyes. Is that mistake there? Maybe God put that there just to depress me. Since I don't have enough brains to figure it out. Is that why? Also, Christ said, before the cock crows, Peter, you will deny me thrice. It crowed once before Peter denied Christ thrice. Anyway, I can get by with this cock crowing thing because Matthew, Luke, and John might have just left out twice, like Mark put it in. Mark says, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me thrice. Oh well. After reading the New Testament, I started getting a horrible feeling. A horrible idea about Christ fulfilling the scripture of the Old Testament. I started getting a horrible feeling about the whole idea about Christ fulfilling the scriptures of the Old Testament. It was just fabricated, after all. A real, actual Passover plot. God, I sure hope I'm wrong. When I discovered that the Jews were thinking of breaking the legs of the crucified because they didn't like people hanging around on the Sabbath, wow. Talk about a pit forming in my stomach. The Bible really does have errors or seeming contradictions in it after all. Oh well. Over and out, Mr. Agnostic. P.S. My parents called today. They were excited about mysterious water getting Jew and Arab books wet, where Christ is going to have his throne during the millennium. And something about ashes of a red pig they found they're going to discover so that it can start killing animals again and get the temple rebuilt, with sacrifices and all that. Anyway, I told them my new problems with the Bible. Dad then thought he found the answer to it in one of the great theological problems of the Bible book, great theological problems of the Bible solved book. He wanted me to go out and buy one also to protect my faith, but after reading what the great theologians said to the problem about Christ being dead only one full day and 2 nights, it didn't convince me. I ended up on a long talk on the phone with, anyway, I ended a long talk on the phone by saying, I don't care what the Bible says. God is God. He can do what he wants. He can say what he wants, whether it's wrong or right. Even if it contradicts, even if it's contradictory, I said. I hate to admit it, but I think I'm turning into a Kierkegaardist. That is, you can't prove that God exists, and you can't prove that he doesn't. It's just that it's so absurd sounding and looking and everything like that. I'm starting to realize more and more that I'm not going to be a great theologian after all. You can find anything in the Bible to prove what you want, if you avoid certain scriptures, that is. Something tells me I'm going to waste a lot of my parents' money for nothing, just to possibly end up depressed, confused, and agnostic. Which, I'm sorry to say, I feel that I already am. Over now. October 14th, 1987, Wednesday evening. I don't know where to begin. It seems like a long time since I last wrote, but it wasn't. I think I'm just... I'm going to turn this TV off, it's distracting me. I think I'm just writing now because I'm tired of studying. My Newton is on hold now. I'm not doing a darn thing with Newton. I'm glad I'm not taking more than 2 classes, or if I was, I'd be studying constantly. Anyway, I don't know if I am going to enjoy religious studies or not. Since I have read the Bible for myself, I have discovered things in it that have caused me to doubt it. Like Christ saying, "Some standing here will not taste death until you see the Son of God coming with power," and all that. And how it looks like Matthew and Luke improved the Bible by changing the parable about how the Son of a rich man was going to be killed. And they killed him outside the vineyard. It really takes the steam out of me. I think, hey, if the Bible is false, who cares if you can make it look like there's universal salvation? Then I start thinking, there probably really is a God. It's just that, well, I'm afraid to write down what I'd really like to say. Because if there is one, oh well, I don't want to get smashed. Boy, am I tired. Well, what else is there to do? What else is there to write about? And what else is there to do with my life? I have a fear that maybe eternal hell does exist. Maybe what I believe in is a lie. Maybe eternal hell exists. I could roast forever by making people think hell wasn't eternal, maybe. Man, am I tired. I think you can get the Bible to say anything you want. You can believe that hell is eternal by saying, hey, it says eternal. Is God a liar? Then you can say, hey, no, it isn't that. It isn't this way because it says this and this. then you can even use the Bible to show that God doesn't exist by reading the Old Testament. Or isn't really bright, by pointing out the, you know, apparent errors. Seems like apparent errors in it also. I mean, man, I think it's just endless learning that goes on forever and get you nowhere. Maybe I should become a teacher of the retarded. Maybe I should teach dyslexic children after all. It's incredible how life is so boring. I wonder how many times I wrote that. I wonder how many times I said how life is so boring on videotape. Oh, I think I have learned why Bible prophecy will look like it's always going to take place. It's because it's written in a poetic way, and with poetry you can make poetry say anything to the point where you think God really cares about you and is giving you divine revelation to make you think that He's letting you know the rapture is going to take place or something like that. And that's why in every generation it will look and has looked like the world was going to end. Even before Christ, when Jeremiah was written, it was that way. They thought the Messiah was going to come. Since I have finally realized this, that it's all poetic and it's designed in such a way to make it always look like the rapture is going to take place, I have quit looking at the news, because the news really is depressing. There's nothing really good about it. It's just boring and it just goes on forever. If you like hearing problems, then you can look at the news. Wow, am I tired? Really bored? I sure wish I could get excited about things again. I have been watching old reruns of Lost in Space. Well, parts of them, because they're really stupid. Yet, I really liked Lost in Space as a kid. Lost in Space is very nostalgic for me. I think the reason why I can stand watching it is because I watched it during my mindless years. I think I was at my happiest during my childhood, after all. During